I guess I should run through the introduction again. Hi, welcome to the Yonaha podcast. My name is Ethan. I'm the founder and creative director of Yonaha. Yonaha is my clothing brand. You can see it on yonaha.net. I do a bunch of designs that are Japanese and Okinawan on eco-friendly clothing. We're very progressive, inclusive, and all those other good things. And today I'm here with Smiley Mikey.
Peace. How you doing?
So this is part 2. If you haven't seen part 1, go back and then come back to this one and then watch it again and again and again. So we derailed really far from my questions, but that's great because I wouldn't have known what to talk about otherwise.
But now we got lots to talk about, so good.
Yeah.
We talked about songwriting and video making and art, and we talked about Okinawa and culture, which was new for me, which I appreciated you sharing that. We talked about the interplay of cultures, Japanese influence on the world and America and vice versa.
Yeah, so one of my questions was, what got you into making music?
What happened was I was married, then I was divorced, but I had 2 young kids, and following the divorce, I went to like a guitar center, I think, and I bought them a drum set and an electric guitar and an amp and just let them at it. And they, being that creative generation, the same as yours, they actually learned their instruments, started playing right away, started making music, got a band together, started gigging, started getting paid for the gigs, started writing songs, started getting radio play, sold a song to TV, and then, et cetera, et cetera. And because we were living in Nevada at the time, they could play bars even though they were underage, as long as you don't loiter or drink or whatever, right? So they really developed and they became professional musicians. Normally the pattern is your parents are musicians and they get you kids into doing music. Mine was the opposite. My kids got into music and then I go, wait a second, I'm hearing them freaking taking over the house and playing with their band all the time. I'm going to their shows, seeing them making their t-shirts and all that stuff. Why don't I try to learn to do some music too? It looks like fun. So I started writing songs, started learning to play, doing open mics, the first step, right? And all these years later, I kept writing songs, didn't quit, got better at it, and still play open mics, been asked to do some paid gigs. And the kids got me into it, not vice versa. It's almost like the chick was hatched from the egg, and then the chicks taught the chicken or the rooster to do something. It's kind of that reverse weird thing. So I just, we all need our hobbies, our passions, and I found that as a really good outlet for artistry from my other jobs that I do. I kind of use a different side of the brain, and I just haven't stopped. So there you have it. I'm this old weirdo now doing songs, but getting love and hate from around the world. And I feel like I'm getting better at it and getting a bigger audience and enjoying it. So
Yeah.
that's my long-winded answer, Ethan. You've probably figured out when you get me starting to talk, I need to shut up at some point.
No,
but that answered your question, right?
Yeah, that did. That's actually amazing because, if I were in your position, I'd think I'd never buy my kids a drum set. I'd never sleep again.
Well, I learned, because I'm a writer, I learned even when they were very little to tune everything out in the house. As I work on my stuff, I just block it out. While things are crashing, breaking, people are fighting and screaming and crying and whatever it is they do, throwing footballs past your head, whatever. Drum racket, I was like used to it, It's like the people who get used to having a subway station nearby and it rattles everything. You get used to it.
Yeah.
You tune it out. Yeah. So.
Wow.
But yeah, right.
And the fact that they took it and went somewhere with it instead of being like, I'm going to play with this for 5 minutes. I'm going to set it in the corner. I'm going to never touch it again.
Right.
As someone with like severe ADHD, I fixate on things that I want to do until I have them and then they're gone. I don't care anymore. And I hate that it's just a fascination for me because I always run through that vision where this is going to be the rest of my life and I don't touch it ever again.
But there are certain things that have stuck more with you, and that's videography, filmmaking.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that, you're still driven to do. and you stay with it. So that's fine.
Yeah,
ADHD, yeah, go ahead.
I'm still driven to do many things. I just kind of have that pressure of like I can't be focusing on all these things. I need to like make income and survive.
Yes, you got to adult, and and the pandemic gave me an excuse not to keep grinding for a living for a while. Most of my adult life worked like two jobs, self-employed for most of it. But the pandemic kind of forced me to like not be able to work because I couldn't go out and work on people. I do massage therapy, couldn't do that during the pandemic very much. I ghostwrite books for people, but I kind of and I've done over 100 books, their art, and I just couldn't really leave the house or didn't want to, and I just got into songwriting. But now that everything's opened up again, that artistic production is still part of me. It became part of me over 2 years, and so now I'm back to grinding for a living again. If you're in Sonoma County and you want the best chair massage or table massage, hit me up. I got magic hands. If you need a book ghost written and you can afford my rates, I'm so there. But I'm not going to stop doing the art now. Those 2 years of just focusing on it, it's there for me. And I think I'm turning out videos and songs that are different from anything else out there, and I think they're worth your time. So folks, go check out Smiley Mikey on the webs. YouTube is Smiley, Smiley space Mikey. You may find some other people with the same name, but they're not as weird or interesting as I am, I promise you. So go check it out on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. And I hope you enjoy the music and songs. And you better sub to Yonaha. You better go to yonaha.net, which I'm going to do. See about buying yourself some Okinawan culture, baby, and learn about it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to check out the mountain Yonaha. What is your grandma's name?
Nobuko Yonaha.
Nobuko. That's so cool. Japanese names are so cool.
Yeah, I was very salty when I was younger that I have a very American name, but it's what it is. It wouldn't make sense for me not to have one. But yeah, I had something to say a minute ago and it's fleeting. But back to the fixating on many things and how you do many things too. It's there are things I drop instantly once I learn how to do or like start wanting to do it, and there's things that I refuse to die without learning.
Good. Well, you have an active mind, and the thing is, the blessing and curse of an active mind is you're always juggling a million different things, a million things you want to do. If you're like me, you have a to-do list this long, and I check it out at the end of the year, and I go, I did 3 things out of 40, but
yeah.
But you have to focus on those 3 things, or you won't get any of the 40 done, and get to the other ones in some other future self of yourself, some future Ethan,
Yeah. I liked the idea. I read this quote. It said that Elon Musk said this, but I don't really believe that. But it was basically like, take your 5-year plan and try to do it in 1 year. You're not going to succeed, but you'll do a lot more than you would have if you planned it over 5 years.
But well, yeah, and he may have said it or something like it, but he's so famous now, and he's so omnipresent in our culture, in our human civilization, that everything's going to be ascribed to him, whether he said it or not.
Yeah.
But it does make sense that there's a lot of wisdom to that, because what it does is there's a lot of dead time every day where I call it sloth. You just screw around and don't do anything. You procrastinate. The internet, the phone are 2 of the hugest culprits of leading us down that hole, of not doing anything. But if you're disciplined and even spend just 4 concentrated hours on something every day, man, you really start getting somewhere. And then you get in the zone. You hate it. You mentioned editing video, but the hardest thing with that, or writing or anything, is getting started. You got to rake the leaves outside in your lawn. The hardest part is getting started, because we become very creative and procrastinating when there's something we avoid doing. But once you just flip that switch and do it, you get into it. And it's just really that motivation of jumping in and getting after something and not just thinking about getting after it, you know what I mean? Or finding reasons not to. 5-year plan and do everything in 1 year, you will get a ton of stuff done for sure, because you'll force yourself to just jump in and start doing something.
Yeah.
You know, how many times have you had a movie project, a film project, even though you're much younger than I am, that you've created notes for, you planned it, and then you leave it there, and then you even forget about it, and then you discover the file on your computer and you start reading it again. Here was the script I was starting, or here was like the synopsis for it, or the treatment, or the idea. Man, that is really good, you know, but you didn't do anything for 6 or 8 months on it, or a year. Dive in and start pushing it ahead. Just dive in and start doing the editing on stuff. Don't leave your website, Yonaha, you know, don't leave it dormant now, and you'll get a lot more subscribers. Just start creating content and do it. And before you know it, you'll be like a little miniature Elon Musk, pissing people off and buying Twitter and supporting a shit coin called Dogecoin, and then seeing it go up and manipulating the markets and doing all the things he does.
Yeah, I don't. My end goal isn't to be the downfall of, well, not the downfall of humanity, but my end goal isn't to be the master manipulator of the market and all that stuff. I mean, my goal is to, you know, put myself in a position where I could spend my whole life creating things and, you know, not have to worry about the budget and feeding myself and all that stuff. Because, like, I do have a lot of film ideas, but a lot of my ideas are very extravagant and require animation and all that stuff. I'm doing my own animated movie, which is really hard because it's like I have like all the assets to create it, but it's like a lot of skills that I have to pick up, and then I run into something that I have to learn another thing before I can learn how to do that, and I have to learn another thing, and so forth and so on. It's like rocket science learning animation by yourself. And I also have to do the sound design and the editing and everything else, and I'm also
You do it all.
Yeah.
And I know, and I have a solution, because my kids, whom I mentioned before, just like you, the creative genius generation, the Zoomers. And that's not to say other generations aren't awesome too. Every generation has its awesome parts and its less awesome parts. But the Zoomers, with your technology at your fingertips and watching your peers doing all these things, motivates you to do it. And my kids are the same way. For example, they've written a play with music that's been dormant for 5 years, because they go back and forth. Do we do animation? Do we find actors? Do we try to turn it to a people play off Broadway? But you have to have so many skills. You need to have somebody. I mean, they wrote the music and the whole idea, the story for this thing called Mimi and the Butterflies. It's a great story about three girls in the Midwest in Indiana who start a rock band, then go to Hollywood and get exploited by the evil music industry, right? And then they discover why they got into music for the first place, right? It's kind of like Wizard of Oz meets Joni and the Pussycats meets whatever. But here's the thing. Finally, now they're living in New York. They're living in Brooklyn. They've had Mimi on the Butterflies for 5 years out there. They've got the great music. They got the story idea, but they have to learn how to write a script. They have to learn how to find actors and produce a movie. Collaborate. Boom. Find your tribe. Find the people who have other skills, because otherwise you're going to be 190 years old and still learning all these different things. That's impossible for one person to learn. You have to be a computer. If you find people who really have strong skills in areas of animation you don't, and you collab with them together with the right team, you will get your product done and out there, and they will make it better for you. They will make it better. If it's two good heads are better than one. If there's only one good head and 3 bad heads, then you'll end up with a crappy product, right?
Yeah, I've had a lot of bad teamwork experience, so I'm
sure you did. And you're coming out of the college years too. So in the college years, that's classic, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when you find other Ethans out there who have a different skill set, you'll make them better, they'll make you better. And that's what my kids, especially one of them, is doing now. He's in Brooklyn. There's all kinds of actors, directors, everybody out there who knows that side of the business, who can write the script the right way with the right dialogue and have the table sittings and create the right script. Then, and then to market it and get it off Broadway. You can't do it all yourself. Find your team And through this thing called the internet, you can find people outside of Sonoma County who are kindred spirits of yours, and if that's the case, and you collaborate with them, and you will get these products done. Someone's behind you.
Yeah.
Who's that? Okay. All right. So I'm saying, my words to you is, it took my kids this long to figure out that, yeah, let's find the experts in drama, those people, to write the script, to act the script, to do the table readings, to help develop the characters, to get the thing done so that it's actually going to reach the stage. And they'll use the music my kids created, they use the general story of it. But because those people cannot create the music, but my kids cannot, they don't have the drama background, they don't have the play background, but there's people who do. You find these animators who have these other skills, bite the bullet, swallow your pride, and get the thing done. That is your end goal, is to get this thing done and out there. There are so many people I've met in music who have musical training. They're professional musicians. I'm not. But they have all these times when it's classic. They go, yeah, we started this CD, because that's how old I am, or we started this album, this EP, whatever. But, for 5 years, they'll go back into the studio and redo something and then come out and then not have it finished. They just won't do it. And they won't listen to anybody else saying you should shorten your song or just get it done. They spend their whole lives like with this dream of having a great song or a great album, but it's like they're intoxicated with the dream instead of the real world. They're intoxicated with the fantasy. It's like someone who goes out and buys some new crypto, some weird ass coin, and then they never even check up on it. They never even look at analyze if it's even has a real world use. But it's just the dream of getting rich that made them do it. It's the dream, the fantasy, more than the real world. And that's classic for artistic people, to have a project you're working on and they never finish it. They just dream about it. You gotta build your team for all these projects. There's a reason why when you look at a movie and you see the end credits and it goes on, it's because you need a gaffer. You need the key grip. You need the makeup person. You need the assistant. You need the location scout. You need all these people to create what the final thing is, even though people will only think about, oh, it's Quentin Tarantino, oh, it's, whoever the actor is at the moment, in the Tarantino film. They'll think only of those people, but it took a whole, village of people to create this thing. In music, what I did is I find people smarter than I am. When I have the music to be made, and I'll play the piano part, I'll do what passes as singing, I'll do what passes as background singing, I'll write the lyrics, I'll write the music, but before I ever do anything recording it, I will run it by people I trust, or I'll test it out at open mics. And that helps you refine it. You can't just do it working in a vacuum. And then I'll finalize the lyrics, finalize the song, and then if I have to find good musicians to do a guitar part or a bass or drums or flute or female background vocals, whatever it is, digital strings. I have not even learned GarageBand yet, let alone Logic Pro. I find the experts who do it, and they help me create something really awesome. And if they have an idea on changing something and I listen to them, they could very well be right, and I have to change the lyric. I have to shorten a song, you know what I mean? Or re-sing this vocal, you know what I'm saying? You grind and you grind and you grind until it's not a polished turd, it's a polished diamond, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So here in Santa Rosa, I found 2 different brick and mortar recording studios to help me get stuff done. And plus they have the obligatory Zoomer 20-year-old who has the digital string, prowess and the huge library of like, oh, we're going to put violin and cello here, and they're going to make it sound amazing, and they're going to make it sound like it was recorded in an opera house in Sydney, Australia, or whatever, So I have my Zoomer geniuses, then I have the boomer engineer too, who's worked with bands forever, you know what I mean? I build the team, and together we create something that you couldn't have done your best with a digital workstation, you know what I'm saying? You have to build your team, and not everybody's going to work well for it. you wind up with flakes or people who are just stubborn and try to interfere with your project, which you've obviously had that going on in your student projects. But eventually you find people who are at a higher level and kindred spirit, and they'll help you get your film done, your movie done, Ethan, for sure, your animation done, and you'll have something out there in the real world instead of just the fantasy project. I know I go on and on. Hopefully this is interesting to
Oh,
you.
I love this. Yeah. Yeah, I guess I kind of pride myself in being a one-man army, but I've been working on the same project since I was just out of high school, and
So you're talking about 6 years, right? Am I right?
roughly, yeah, and it's just like I always blamed the fact that like, oh, I had to work full time or I had school or something, and now I have no excuses to not work on it, and it's just I've like you said, you could work, entire years in your at your computer. I can't sit at my computer very long. I have to walk around outside or do something, and it's like it's weird how everything I'm good at is on the computer, and I hate sitting at it for too long.
Here's the thing. Here's one of the things, because I've written over 100 books, ghost written, and thousands of articles. What I do to force me to stay in the computer and then get my brain waves synchronized so I don't want to leave. Well, I do two things. One is I put on classical music, especially these piano stuff that I have. One artist named Kostya, but it could be anything. And no lyrics, just classical music is going on in the background. Obviously, I'm not speaking when you have to do audio work here, but just to get your brain waves going. It chills you, and it gets me in the zone to sit there at the computer and work. Two, I'm not a big coffee drinker, or I don't smoke anything, hardly ever. And I don't vape because I'm older, but I'll take some caffeine, and then I'll have my popcorn here or whatever comfort food to eat. And baby, I am at that computer for 7 hours if I have to be, with that classical music going. My food's here. My phone's locked away somewhere, so I'm not looking at it every 10 seconds to see if I have 10 more views on an Instagram reel. I don't. And you get in the zone and you build up that stamina, okay? And you get stronger and stronger as the days go by. And then you get close to finishing your project, then you finish it, you grind it through, and then you reward yourself. Go take a bubble bath, an Epsom salt bath, do whatever it is you want to, but you're building up your stamina by simply flipping that switch.
Yeah.
So that's my advice. I'm full of advice because I'm old as fuck. I'm sorry. It's like a human thing. When you get my age, it's like all of a sudden you give a lot of lectures, but it's based on experience,
Yeah, I'm often told I'm an old soul, but I'm also very difficult to help in that sense because I'm gonna blame ADHD for this, but
you're a crutch.
Classical music for two things. I like it, but like I think I need something more chaotic in order to focus, which is counterproductive, but that's me.
Yeah, you find your jam. You find your jam.
There's that, and working while listening to classical music makes me feel like a psychopath.
Okay,
because you ever watch a movie where there's like a mad genius doing some stuff, and they always listen to like Mozart, Beethoven, like it's. And
oh my god. Well, I don't listen to Beethoven when I create because he's too damn dramatic. He's a very macho guy. And I'm not going to listen to the ninth Symphony Number 9 or anything like that. But yeah, so if I ever have the tendency to listen to those classical music masters, and I'm going to hide every sharp object I have, and I'll just try to realize that oh my God, do I have a tendency towards this? I don't even torture animals. I'm nice to animals, shit, kids and old people. So
yeah, no, I wouldn't assume any of that of you. But yeah, no, it's very hard to figure out how to get myself in the zone because I used to write essays at coffee shops with one headphone on. So right. I have loud rock music playing with people screaming on one ear, and on the other ear I'm hearing like people making coffee and like churning the milk and like the oven's beeping, and it's like I'm writing non like Jim Carrey in the Bruce Almighty.
That's funny.
It's like I don't know. I need a certain. It's like a radio thing. I need to find that frequency to get myself to focus, and anything can take me out of it.
Okay, I gotcha.
But it's another thing
Yeah.
is it's easier for me at night, and I don't want to do that because then I'm working until 5 o'clock completely uninterrupted, and then I'm asleep until
Yeah,
noon.
in that case, you're a vampire. You just got to get used to being a vampire. That's just the way
I've
it
I've
goes.
been fighting it forever. I just don't want to
Ah,
do that.
well, do you want to be productive or not? We all have to sacrifice in some way for art,
Yeah,
whether it's eating junk food, whatever it is, your poison, cigarettes, whatever it is, or crazy hours. The main thing is you need to get stuff done, or you will be frustrated. And the more you get done, the happier you are. Then when you get love from an audience, whatever size it is, even if it's only one person who really enjoys or gets something out of it, then it's all worth it. But there's no productivity without some sort of sacrifice to your health or something. I don't want it to sound dire or drudgy that way.
no, I get you.
But I mean, number one is how are you going to produce the art? And then you find a way to do it and you soldier through. Your generation is so overstimulated, which is one of the causes of ADHD for sure. You know what I mean? And probably other things too, anxiety and everything else. So you just got to figure out how to control your environment with the right stimuli and block out the other ones. And whatever's clever will work for you. And I like that. It may not have been really Elon Musk saying that make your 5-year plan and get it all done in 1 year, but the whole thing is the whole message there is be productive and grind. Be productive. Because are you really an artist if you don't create art? A lot of people like to live the artist lifestyle, which is just partying and pretending you're cool and that you get stuff. And then at the end of the day, they don't produce anything. They're just artistes.
Yeah, no, that's not me.
No, I know it's not. It's not me either.
Yeah.
I don't care about facial hair. I don't care about wearing a beret. And I don't care about wearing really edgy T-shirts. I just care about creating stuff. And I'm sure you do too. And that's what you're doing right here is you're creating something and you're getting back into being not dormant but active in your podcast. And I appreciate you bringing me on. I hope it's worth everyone's time.
Well, it
And
better
yeah.
be. This is
Well,
entertaining for me, so
oh, good. And I really appreciate. I'll tell you. Do you have questions? Because I do have something I want to talk about. If that apropos of one of the things we discussed.
yeah.
How long do we have here before we run out? About 6 minutes. What is it?
I would say probably 13, maybe
13?
maybe 10. No, it'll warn me at 10 minutes. I'll tell you.
There are 4 songs I'm putting out, 4 new ones, which will bring to the number of like 20 songs and videos for the last 2.5 years, a pandemic-induced thing. The pandemic, in that case, in that sense, was very good for me artistically. So these next 4 songs I talked about building a team to get things done. So I'll go through real quickly these 4 songs and how I built the team as a guy who doesn't even do GarageBand. I just find the right people to get my songs put together in the real world. And the same thing with videos, I shoot stuff with my iPhone, but I find people to edit it. And they shoot with their Reds or whatever cameras they have too. We make it work. The main thing for me is not being a one-man band anymore, trying to, but building a team, which is my message to you. Give a shot to finding the right people who have the expertise you haven't developed yet, and you'll make them better, and they'll make you better with the different skill sets you bring together, and then trust in the process, and then you'll get your stuff done. So my 4 songs, one is Nikita. They seem to like that a lot at the Brew Crew at open mic seem to like it. 2 people asked me for the chords so they can learn to do it. Nikita is a song I wrote in parentheses, no sugar daddy. And the whole chorus is, it's the singer, me, the character singing to a woman. You don't need no sugar daddy. He won't even keep you happy. Take a chance on me, Nikita. He never tasted sweetness like me. That's the chorus. Anyway, so
Now we
how
have
do I
10
get
minutes.
that song recorded? Well, I recorded the piano at home with the guy who recorded it off of my Yonaha into his laptop with MIDI. And then he took that song and the piano part alone, and he kind of made sure it was all in time, quantized and everything, and gave it to me. I took that, on a flash drive to a brick and mortar studio. And I had the guy there, the engineer in Santa Rosa. He put it down. We found the right voice, so it sounded like, the right kind of piano, grand piano sound on it. And then his kid, who's 20, put together the right digital strings. And I said, here's where I want the strings to come in on the song. And he created that for it. Now we have a backing track of just piano and strings. And I didn't have to bring real life string players in. Then I wrote the lyrics and the music and all that. And then I went in a regular old microphone and I sang the lead of the song. And we did it over and over till I got it right. And he punched me in different parts. And then I said, here's the background vocals, the ahs. And I did the background vocals. And then this guy, the engineer, he mixed it all together, the piano and the strings, my lead vocal, my background vocal. And then now all these different people, 4 different people, myself, the guy who recorded my piano at home for me, the engineer who recorded my vocals, and then his son who did the strings. 4 people have now created something, right? And then the 5th thing is, then I hired somebody in New York City. I just sent it over the internet to get it mastered. It's all mixed. The mastering is compressing it like a ball, the sound, so it really pops out. So that's 5 people now involved in it. And even before those 5 people, I had tested it out in front of a group of people at like Brew Open Mic and other open mics, one at Hot Monk in Sebastopol, to see what people thought of the song. And if they came up to me and said, I like this or don't like that, it was validation that it was a really good song. And there were really no changes. And then I sent it out to my kids. And then one of them listened to the mix and said, well, let's not have the background vocals come in on the first verse and chorus. Let's hold it off so the song builds so dramatically. Those ahs come out in the second part and the strings come later. So now that's 6 people plus 2 different open mic crowds. You see how I built the team for that one song?
Yeah.
Now I'm getting the video done for it. The video, I found an actor, a female actor. My generation calls them actresses, but gender neutral. And all these people applied on backstage.com for the role of Nikita, and I wrote a script for it. And then she became Nikita, and she came to Reno, stayed overnight, a couple of nights there. She traveled with her mom, and then we had the whole script done. She and I, and then a guy in Reno who did the videography. And so we got more people involved, and we're having these scenes done in Reno. And then, so having these other 2 people involved with the script too. And then the woman who was the waiter in the restaurant scene and signed an artist release, she contributed to Nikita as well. So you build these teams. And then you're a part of my team sort of in a way, because you're giving me publicity, so people are going to know about my work, so you can't do things in a vacuum. You can't be a one-man band. You can't do it and really expect to succeed. You've got to build a team of like-minded people, and that's just the way it goes. Even Emily Dickinson, which we all studied in high school, all the dead poets, she wrote all by herself. She died unknown, but somebody had to discover her writing. Was it her dad or whoever it was, and got it published, right? Somebody had to do it. It had to be that person to get the words out there. Then it had to be the publisher to print it. It had to be all the people working the printing press. It had to be the people selling her books. You know what I'm saying? It had to be all these people out there so that the rest of us could be tortured a century later in high school by reading her stuff, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
I don't mean tortured. I mean,
Yeah, no, it was torture for me, but that's because I just didn't like English class in general.
Okay.
But
I'm just saying, you have to build your team, and that's part of being an artist, is to find how to get your art out in the world, so you're not Emily Dickinson and having it very possibly die, which is the case of a lot of artists, writers, poets. It could have been the case with Van Gogh if he had not had his brother, I think it was his brother, after Van Gogh died and had never sold a painting in his life, I think, who got his stuff out there.
Yeah, right? And he's, legendary now. And, I mean, I think to some degree that fame comes from the fact that the creator was dead. But it's
right.
It's hard to tell because you only have our one timeline to judge from. But
right.
I mean, I like his work. I I think that we have a problem where people are too obsessed with realism, and I'm like, if you love realism that much, just get into photography. But like
Bingo.
realism, I mean, that's the thing. Finding other artists has been really hard for me. I've never met another animator, maybe once in my entire education, and he used a different program. He was on a different course than me in like life, and we didn't go off from there. And it's like I've met like dozens and dozens of photographers, but they're not really able to contribute to what I do. I've met a lot of seniors who were into painting for fun, and it's like, okay, no animators, no audio engineers, no editors, no this, no that, no that. And it's like, okay, I'll do it all. And it's like I do have someone in mind for like some voice acting for my project, but like
Great.
I'm prepared to do all the audio engineering and all the editing and all the animating, and I wrote the thing already, and I'm so I think for future projects I'd love a big team. I just want to be able to like, compensate them if they're going to help me.
Yeah, it's hard. The thing is, you're motivated. What you just told me now, you're motivated to get this thing done, and you will do whatever is needed. And you may end up doing it all yourself for this one project. You get the project up there. That project will hopefully attract other people who you can work with going forward. That's one idea. Another one is just up and moving to another place. Sonoma County, I've discovered, is incredibly artistic, full of incredible, way beyond its population of just art, just really impressive to me. So there may be people here, but maybe not. Maybe you have to go to LA or reach out to people in LA or New York or Japan or Okinawa, wherever, and find people who can help you, even if it's on Fiverr or whatever the platform is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But get your first thing done the best you can and go on from there. And those people, is the Zen approach. Those people are out there that you need for your team. You just haven't found them yet.
Yeah. And I'm excited to meet the right people. I'm in a lot of Discord servers for stuff like streetwear and video essays and all that stuff because, I want to talk to how other people do their streetwear stuff. I'm just extremely multifaceted, and you say it's, my generation, I guess. But yeah, our meeting's closing in like 2 minutes, it looks like.
Okay.
But I think that's a good place to wrap this up. I had other questions, but they would all be another whole episode worth. But I'll just do this last question. Which of your songs is your favorite?
So is the one that I'm working on at the moment. I think the song of the four that I'm going to be releasing soon, I think each of them is going to reach people and connect with people. That's Nikita, the one I talked about, Rainbow Girl, the one I talked about in the previous video, having a mad crush on a girl who has a mad crush on a girl, Rainbow Girl, that twisted love ballad, and like Nikita, the one where the guy's interested in a girl who only likes sugar daddies apparently. Peace with This World is probably the most important one because it has a huge message for today and tomorrow about finding your separate peace in a crazy world, and trying to find peace of mind in a world with all these stressors. And I think that could be an eternal, timeless song. Maybe that's the one, Peace with This World. The video will be dropping probably in December for it, because November will be the Nikita video dropping, or later this month, ideally. The other two, Rainbow Girl, will drop in January. Then the final song I'm going to do before I stop creating content and start marketing it and doing T-shirts and all that, and maybe talking to you about your skills in garment design and textile design and printing. But anyway, see, I might try to have you a member, a part of my team.
Yeah, I'd love
But anyway, yeah, but that song, the last one I'm doing, is called Just a Song. It's a post-punk song, a guitar song, and it's really just about you have to find your own meaning in life. A rock song don't give you all the answers, neither do flows of same old rappers. Blues will drown you in muddy water, and pop's all fake, so don't even bother. Just finding your own truth in life is my last song. I think all of them are my favorites right now. If there's one that's done better than any other so far, it's called Don't Want to Buy a Gun. It's not as simple as the title explains. You can see the video on YouTube. It has 127,000 plus views, and it gets a lot of